Good day and welcome back to another Dbz Dokkan Metal video. In this video we are taking a look at the GT Heroes Challenge in the Legendary Goku GT Edition, or the Fighting Legend Goku GT Edition event. So basically, as you guys know, this is one of the category challenges for the event, and we are going to be taking it on with a GT Heroes team. So in terms of difficulty, I think GT Heroes is probably one of the stronger categories to take on this stage. Obviously, with the advent or the addition of the Super Saiyan 4 LR Goku and Vegeta, we have a pretty overall strong roster with which to take on this event. So we've got a lot of decent lead options. We've got the physical Super Saiyan Goku GT, the Int Super Saiyan Vegeta GT, and obviously the physical LR Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta unit. You then also have some pretty good free-to-play units in the form of the Super Saiyan Goku Jr. and the Super Saiyan Vegeta Jr., along with the strength B-Pan. Now B-Pan will take quite a bit of damage near the end of the phase, but for the most part there are still some pretty overall strong options. Then of course we also have the pretty useful and really good GT Bros and the GT Trunks and Goten. Now both of these units are exceptional and very strong. We'll go through all of the unit details after we finish going through the team, just so we can kind of make sure that we cover every single unit that we have. And then I think the final piece for this team, or at least the one that I chose, is obviously the Tech Gojira. Now Tech Gojira is pretty good, really strong. Obviously this is after his EZA, so he's a really impressive unit. I think, you know, he's really powerful, brings a lot of offense ability. Obviously his countering ability is also very powerful, and just overall he's a really exciting unit to utilize. It's always cool to have a unit that does a good amount of damage like this. Not to mention he also links really well with the LR SS4s, so yes. But so it's going to be a pretty simple rotations. We're basically linking up Int Vegeta with physical Goku. That's going to be one rotation for most of the event. Int Vegeta is pretty solid, attack and defense of 180 and 120% respectively, randomly changing key spheres of a certain type to rainbow key spheres, plus an additional attack and defense of 10% when performing a super attack per key sphere obtained, plus an additional attack of 50% per GT Heroes category ally attacking in the same turn. So that's obviously very solid. He also raises defense for one turn and greatly raises his attack, which is all very helpful. Goku is a very close approximation of that, with the ability to have attack and defense of 180 and 120% respectively, plus an additional attack of 20% when performing a super attack per key sphere obtained, plus an additional 50% defense per GT Heroes category ally attacking in the same turn, which is pretty damn good. Massively raises attack temporarily and causes ultimate damage to the enemy. Golden Warrior, Super Saiyan, Saiyan Lineage, pretty much a great link set, especially when linking with Vegeta. So on the other rotation we're going to be running Super Saiyan 4 Goku and Super Saiyan 4 Vegeta. Obviously they're the LR from the 7th anniversary, one of the two big LRs that was announced. They're just very good, aren't they? They're going to guard all attacks on their first turn. Then they have an additional key +1 per type key sphere obtained, and an attack and defense of +77% for the first 7 turns from the start of turn. They have attack and defense of 120% and also have a chance of performing a critical hit of +7% per rainbow key sphere orb obtained. Obviously they transform into Super Saiyan 4 Gojira. We're not too concerned about that. We'll be using it near the end of the run. When they do, they gain a whole bunch of benefits, mainly being the high chance of evading, the massively raising attack and defense on their Ultra Super, and the damage reduction per rainbow key sphere. So Super Saiyan 4 Gojira, really solid. Alongside them, we're going to be sticking the Tech Super Saiyan 4 Gojira. Also, again, just a very solid unit. attack and defense of 150%, high chance of attacks being effective against all types, and he has that great chance of evading the enemy's super and countering. So he and the physical SS4 Gojira are going to be giving us a lot of good work, basically, which is obviously great. And then in general, we're going to be rocking, the GT Bros and the GT Trunks and Goten, just kind of floating around. We're going to let the GT Trunks and Goten stack early on if possible. Basically, you kind of want them to have that ability to stack. So they do stack on their attack, their super attack, so we're trying to let them build some stacks early on. It's very, very good for them, just to kind of push their defense over the mark. But they provide great support to the category, obviously buffing up both Goku and Vegeta family units by 40%, which is pretty good. In preparation for the Great Ape Goku, obviously we pushed the physical Goku off rotation, and that's why you'll see that I pushed GT Trunks and Goten into the field, just to kind of give some strength. The Great Ape is a very, very big weak point for this team, in a sense, because obviously our one leader is physical type. Not to mention the GT Goku is also a physical type unit, and so we want to try and make sure that we can control the amount of damage that we take, ideally. Now the LR should be fine. They will have stacked by now to be okay, so they shouldn't really have too many issues. If they get super, we'll still take a decent chunk of damage, but we won't get one hit KO'd or anything. But the GT Goku is especially susceptible at this stage, especially if you don't have dupes in them. So I highly suggest that you are just careful of him at this point in time. Next is obviously the GT Bros. Now they're just very, very solid. They're great in that final slot. They have attack and defense of 150% when performing super attack. They also greatly raise their attack and defense for one turn. Not to mention they give all GT heroes a 40% attack and defense buff, which is pretty damn good. So we obviously just want to be quite aware of that fact. We want to obviously just make sure that we are controlling the tide of battle. Now, the Legends of a New Generation, the Goku Jr., Vegeta Jr., actually did pretty well. They do pretty well. They stack to a decent point defensively. Remember, they gain the defense of 10% up to a max of 70% with each attack performed, and they can get there quite quickly, which is obviously very, very good. Overall, they do a great job, and I think they are really, really solid. I think, overall, for me, the only thing that they needed to be a super good unit is just to raise defense on their super, because they do have a chance of firing multiple super attacks. So I think them being able to launch multiple super attacks that raise their defense would have been pretty damn solid overall. So now we're on to the Int Goku, the Int Super Saiyan 4 Goku. Not too bad a phase. Honestly, we only really have 2 tech units, and both of those are really solid. The Gojira is more than fine, especially after he super attacks. And then we also have the GT Bros, who are also very good defensively. So I'm not too concerned about anything. We have a lot of physical damage as well. As you can see, we're doing a lot of damage to Goku, which helps out as well. So not too concerned, in terms of like the in phase overall. But if you are worried about your tech units, then you can always pop an item. But generally speaking, for the most part, it was quite fine. Here you can see, by the way, the Goku Jr. and Vegeta Jr. Very, very solid defense. Very, very solid. And they will do some decent damage as well. Got the Dokkan attack, obviously, which does help out. But yeah, overall, I think they actually held up really, really nicely. I actually really, really liked how they were doing, so much so that I switched them into the rotation. Because I actually just think they do a really, really solid job. Even though they are facing the tech GT Goku in the final phase, I think they just still do a very, very solid job. A lot of follow-up super attacks, a lot of things like that. I think, again, if they just made them raise defense on their 12 key, I think you would have had a much better time. I think a lot of people would have found them to be very, very good units. But yes, overall, this event, GT Heroes, is a strong category. You've got some decent substitute options. So you've got, for example, the LRSS4s. Obviously, they will be due an Easy A soon, which makes them a pretty strong option. You have the AGL SS4 Vegeta and Strength SS4 Goku, who are already a very, very strong option. You have the Int SS4 Gojira, also a pretty solid option here. So yeah, you've got some pretty good selection of units. Wouldn't say you've got anything crazy, but you've got a decent selection of units. So now we've moved on to the tech phase, obviously just the final couple phases of health here. But yeah, overall the tech phase was more than fine. We do have a couple int units, but if you pop a Whis, you'll burst through this tech phase very, very quickly. We have Vegeta, who's obviously great int damage, but we also just have the LRSS4s, who also do a fantastic job. And also Goku and Vegeta, we switch them back onto rotation to maximize damage. Obviously you can see we're utilizing both of their active skills as well, so we should see some pretty neato stats from them. Very rarely used active skills, which yeah, I think they have such cool active skills anyway. But yeah, you can see Vegeta here with a 4.9. Very, very good. His defense afterwards will be top notch. Good damage. Then Goku's going to follow up with something pretty nutty. Yeah, 6.4. Very, very good. Goku's going to hit him hard. And yeah, just overall, I think the tech phase wasn't too much of an issue. When you've got the items to spare from kind of traversing the early rounds, it's not too much of an issue. You can see here Goku takes 148k. Obviously a Whis is active, but yes, for the most part everything was fine. Even the Goten and Trunks, they did fine. Defensively, they always were going to be fine, especially once they got the couple early stacks. But yeah, overall I think we had a pretty decent time. We'll use the Gogeta active skill, might as well finish him off. And yeah, it's a pretty nice way to finish him off, I think. It's a really nice active skill. Gonna do the Big Bang Kamehameha. Yeah, it's a pretty fitting way to finish off the legendary Goku GT event. Obviously, I think GT Heroes is kind of a free pass. I think you can depend a lot on the LR unit, but it is going to depend on your box. But yeah, the LR unit will carry a lot of the run. As long as you bring units that don't die, he will generally do a majority of the damage. So much so that you shouldn't really have that many issues taking on the event. But hey, if you do have issues, that's what I'm here for. Feel free to leave a comment if you are struggling. I always like to give advice, and I'll give you some feedback, maybe some more alternative suggestions. But yeah, otherwise leave a like if you enjoyed the video, and I'll see you in the next one. Bye.